What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Am I recording? Yes, I am. So we have Izzy here in the background. Of course, it's muted because I don't want to be hit with a copyright strike from Vox or anybody. I know they're very, very particular. Even if it's fair use, I know they're very, very particular about that sort of stuff. So I have Izzy on the background in mute. He was just on Ariel Helwani's, interview, his MMA hour, talking about a bunch of stuff in the fight. And obviously, the subject of today's video is going to be, I'm going to be talking about Izzy. I'm going to be talking about Kamaru and why I believe that Kamaru is just itching to go to middleweight. We'll get into it in a little bit, okay? I really believe that. And then the other thing I wanted to chat about is just a couple things like what's next for Izzy and a little bit of the middleweight division and him potentially moving up and a couple other things. But before we get into all that, make sure that you like the video if you enjoy the video and subscribe for more content similar to this. As you guys can see, I have a different style in the way I make videos, like the structure, the format. I do a lot more read-alongs, reactings, going over stuff. It's very, very different. If you watch the video, you'll see why I'm different. And if you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe. Now, before I get into some of the stuff, I will just say this because I know people are probably curious. Yes, I did score the fight for Izzy. I believe he won 3-2. I believe that it was a close fight, but in my eyes, I thought that Izzy was the winner, okay? I know a lot of people were saying Rob won the fight. I know a lot of people were saying that, or some people were saying that was a robbery. In my eyes, people, I'm sorry, guys and girls, this was not a robbery. This was either a clear win. It was a close fight. If you scored it for Rob, I'm not really going to hold it against you. I scored it for Izzy, but I will acknowledge it was close. So I was supposed to, make a video, about this fight before it happened. I just didn't get time because of life and stuff. One of the things I wanted to say that, before the fight is that I hold Robert Whittaker in such high regard, like up here, okay? I know a lot of other people do, and some people are like, yeah, he's pretty good, but maybe they don't hold him in the same regard as I do. His fights against Yoel Romero, to me, those title fights are some of the most impressive showing of, the entire sphere of fighting when it comes to MMA. Rewatch those fights, okay, and look at what Rob was doing in the fights, between the striking, the grappling, the switching between the two, the scrambling, the takedown defense, everything. It was so amazing. And I know a lot of people agree with this when they say that Robert Whittaker's, you could say he's probably one of the most well-rounded fighters. He's not the best right now, as you could see, because he can't beat Izzy. And I'm not saying if he moves up weight class, he'll win the title there either, because I don't think he would. However, in his placement right now as number 2 in middleweight and as his run when he was champion, I believe he was like really damn good. Really, really, really good. And I will say this as well. I do think that he has the potential to beat Izzy. He has the skills. He has the tools. He can do it. The problem is I think every time these guys fight, it's going to be like this. I knew going into this fight, I was saying, okay, this is going to be a close fight, much closer, and I believe it's going to decision. After round 1, in my head, I was thinking, okay, this is not looking good. I'm actually anticipating he might get finished now, because he was getting dominated in that first round. That was like a clean victory. He was getting picked apart. He got dropped, and I was like, oh man, is this really how the fight's going to go? Is he really going to get picked apart this bad? And it was great that he started making some adjustments. He established a little bit of a takedown threat, even though I felt like Izzy's takedown defense and his scrambling is just so damn good at middleweight. That is like a totally different video I can make about that. I still think he has the potential to win. Do I think he can do it though? Even if he wins, man, I think it's just going to go like this in the future. Just close fights between them, 3-2. I don't think any of them is going to I don't know if any of them is going to dominate each other going forward. I think they're that tightly matched up. And so here's what I will say. Was this my phone ringing? Oh, turn off the ring. So that being said, again, I believe it was close. I believe Izzy won. I still hold Rob in really high regards. I don't think they're ever going to fight a third time now, because I think Izzy will probably not take a third fight at this point, or he'll probably try to move up by that point. So I don't think that's going to happen. And if he does move up pretty soon, I think that Robert can become champion again. I think the potential is absolutely there. Now, the next thing I did want to talk about, and I don't know if I wanted to first talk about the rankings or if I wanted to talk about Kamaru first. Who do I want to talk about first? Okay, you know what? I'm just going to do the rankings really, really quickly, and then I'm going to talk about Kamaru, okay? So here we have the middleweight rankings. Is it on the screen? Yes, it is. So if you guys look at the rankings right now, obviously Cannonier is going to be next. As you can see, he beat Brunson and everything. You know what? Maybe I should talk about Cannonier as well. I did have his thing loaded up. I was just re-looking at some of the highlights. No, you know what? Let's just go through this first. Okay, quickly. I just want to say right now, I don't think that anybody in middleweight... Okay, let's look at the top 10 guys. Realistically, Calvin Gastelum, not beating Izzy now. Uriah Hall, it's going to be a striking match. He's not beating Izzy. Darren Till. I know Izzy keeps on saying, and he did say in this interview again, that he wants to fight or face Darren Till. Ariel brought it up. But is Darren Till going to be able to make his way back to the top in order to face Izzy? We don't even know that, right? So, and even if they fought, he's not beating Izzy in a striking match. Hermanson, no. Costa, I would want to see that fight again because of the God, okay, I'll reply to this in a second. Because of the entertainment and stuff, the trash talking, this and that. The first fight was so entertaining, but not really. Do I think that Costa is going to beat him in a striking match again? I know Costa would do a different game plan, like he wouldn't be as aggressive, but let's be honest, is he going to beat him in a striking match? Probably not. Strickland, he has not shown me that he has the skills to beat Izzy. Brunson, he just lost, so I don't, and has one more fight, and he said he's going to retire. Vittori, no. Vittori, who I also think has championship potential if Izzy left. The second fight showed me he does not have the skills yet to beat Izzy. Cannonier, who is next, okay? So, I don't think that Cannonier is going to beat Israel Adesanya. I'm actually going to say that I think that Brunson was on his way to winning the fight if he didn't just get caught by that during the clinch break. Now, I know that's saying like, oh, he was winning until he lost. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean like, if you were watching the fight, Brunson was getting the takedowns. He did drop him in the first round right here. Where was it? Right here. On this exchange. He did drop him, and then he had the round. Now, Cannonier looked pretty calm here, and then eventually, the round ended. I am curious what would have happened if there was 30 more seconds into the round. Probably would have tapped, right? So, and then, I think that Brunson, I know you could see he was hesitant to stand with Cannonier because Brunson's totally shifted the way he fights now. He used to do that crazy, weird sort of striking where he would just run and lunge at people and just leave himself wide open. He's changed it to more grappling heavy, and I think he would have probably won that fight if he just was a little bit more. These tiny mistakes can get you caught like that, right? So, do I think that Cannonier is going to beat Izzy in a striking match? I mean, what do you guys think? Let's be real. Do you think that Cannonier is going to beat Izzy in a striking match? Now, I will say that I don't think it's going to be, depending on Cannonier's game plan, I don't really think it's going to be the most exciting fight. I kind of see like, Cannonier knows like, okay, if I go in, Izzy's a counter striker, he's going to try to pick me apart, set traps, do this and that. Izzy's also going to be doing a lot of low kicks. Now, one thing that, if you guys watch Morning Combat, Luke Thomas and stuff, I've been watching Luke for a long time. I'm a big fan. One of the things he says, which is so true, that, for example, Blachowicz did, is that he took away the leg kicks very early on. And Robert did not do that, dude. He was just getting eaten up with those leg kicks. Yoel didn't do that. Costa was getting hit with leg kicks. People get hit with these leg kicks, and if you don't check them, dude, he's just going to pick you apart with them. Now, do I think that Cannonier is going to implement a game plan where he could do that? Maybe, but I mean, what do you guys really, really, really think? Do you think that Jaron Cannonier in a striking match, where I think that most of the fight is going to play out, because he's not, I don't think he's taking Izzy down, no way. Do we think that Cannonier is going to beat Izzy in a 5-round striking match? Probably not. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, but Blachowicz did really good in the stand with Izzy. You're right, he did. Blachowicz is a totally different threat than Cannonier. Blachowicz was up a weight class. Really, really, really brutal power Blachowicz has. Very, very big, hits very hard. Well, I just said that. And he established a takedown threat as well. Now, plus the checking the leg kicks, okay? So he established a takedown threat. There was the takedown threat there. Checking the leg kicks, I think he was able to do it. Now, Cannonier, I don't think he's going to be able to take him down. I don't think he'll ever establish a takedown threat. Whether or not he'll check the leg kicks, we'll see. And I think Israel's just going to pick him apart, and it'll probably be either a late finish or another 5-round decision. So that's what we have with that. Now, when it comes to, when it comes to Kamaru, so I don't think that we're actually going to see these guys fight. So Kamaru said this recently in an interview, the whole 100 million thing. And he also said this, it was in November, this other article where he initially mentioned the 100 million thing. In a sense, he's like saying like the fight's not going to happen because we know the UFC's not going to give us 100 million. Initially, I was like, wait, is he publicly negotiating this to like try to set up a fight and make it so like the UFC's like, oh, we're willing to throw big money at this. Obviously not 100 million, but big money. But then I was kind of like, no, I don't think they're going to do that because Izzy definitely does not want the fight. He's repeated it multiple times. In this interview, he talked about it. He's repeated multiple times. Kamaru has thrown this stuff out. But when he kind of says stuff like, do you guys remember in this recent thing, he said, look, I said it before, as long as Israel Adesanya is the champion, I have no interest in going there. But when Jan Blachowicz was the champion light heavyweight, of course I thought it was a great matchup. This is interesting, right? I'm not saying I would just demolish the whole light heavyweight division. He definitely would not. I'm just saying I thought this was a great matchup, and I thought that I would have been a 2-time champion, skipping middleweight and becoming the light heavyweight champion. That is like... Can I just say that if Kamaru actually did that, my respect for Kamaru would go up even more than it already is. I don't think that he would beat Blachowicz. However, I think that my respect for him would be tremendous for doing that. However, in the beginning of the video, you'll notice I said that Kamaru is just itching to move up to middleweight or light heavyweight as well. I think that for middleweight, if Izzy's not champion, regardless of the matchup, he's going up. Light heavyweight, he has to pick and choose. But do you see what I mean? Like, the fact that he's willing to move to light heavyweight just tells me, for certain matchups, just tells me he's itching to move up and try to get a second title. Now, I don't think that he's going to face Izzy. And I do believe that the 100 million he's suggesting is pricing himself out. But I wonder if Israel does not want the fight, or doesn't want the fight. How am I supposed to say this? I think Izzy wants the fight less than Kamaru does. Does that make sense? Like, you know, when you're in a relationship and like one person likes the other person more. Like, I'm talking about this one. I think that Izzy holds this whole, with the 3 Kings of Africa thing more than Kamaru does. Just a little bit, I think. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Because Izzy just completely shuts it down. And Kamaru shuts it down for the most part. But then he throws this 100 million thing out, which again, you can say he's priced himself out. But I also kind of feel like there's a tiny bit of, I really do want that second belt. And there could be a tiny bit of, maybe he sees like a little bit of a decent matchup there with Izzy a little bit. You know what I mean? Again, I think that Kamaru would take the fight sooner than Izzy, if that makes sense, against each other. I think Izzy's definitely like, no way. And Kamaru's like, no way for sure, but a tiny bit like maybe. Now, I will say this. I think that if Prochazka beats Teixeira, I do think that's a fight that Izzy would want to take. You'll notice he doesn't really mention Glover right now. And again, I saw some people saying like, oh, he's scared of Glover. No, he's not scared of Glover. Like, let's be real, people. He's not scared. Somebody who has 80 kickboxing fights, 20 plus. He has 20 plus MMA fights now, right? How many fights does he have? Yeah, 20 plus MMA fights. You're not scared of someone, okay? You fought so much times. Your brain is conditioned. Your body's conditioned. You're not fearful of people like that. Now, maybe there's certain matchups you don't favor as much. I think that Izzy looks at the Teixeira fight and says, it's a pretty tough matchup. He could take me down and he's not going to stand with me. It's a little bit trickier. But I'm telling you, the second that Izzy moves up, Kamaru is moving up. And I have a feeling in the future, depending how things go, Izzy does need to defend against Cannonier and Prochazka does need to beat Teixeira. I have a feeling that very soon here, we are going to see a fight against Kamaru and Robert Whittaker. I think it's going to happen. I think that Kamaru and Robert Whittaker, I think that that would be an extreme. I would love to see that fight. Love to see that fight. I'm not going to do any breakdown on that right now, but I would absolutely love to see the fight. I think that by next year, I think we might see that fight. A lot of things have to go into place. Again, there has to be a certain champion at light heavyweight. Israel has to beat Cannonier probably, and then not really want anybody else. And then I think we see Kamaru versus Whittaker. I think it happens. As long as Kamaru stays champion, of course, too. Because here's the other thing, by the way. I have a feeling that, Kamaru would fight Khamzat, but at the same time, wouldn't you rather just try to get your second title and go for all the glory and stuff against a matchup like that, where if you lose, like, oh, well, you moved up in weight class, no big deal. Khamzat, dude, that is, again, I think Khamzat's going to be welterweight champion this year or by next year. So why take that fight? If you're Kamaru, yeah, it would be important for your legacy to take it, the rising hotshot. But at the same time, you're like, you know what? Maybe I can just defend against Leon and maybe defend against Vicente Luque after that. If Vicente Luque beats, if Vicente Luque can continue winning and gets to the title shot, maybe 2 more defenses, 1 more defense, whatever. And it'll be, you know what? How about I don't fight Khamzat and I just drop my belt now, move up, and just challenge for the next one? Why take the risk? Why take the risk of losing my undefeated welterweight streak? My reign of title defenses at welterweight. Why risk that? Why not just move up, give up the belt like George did, go for the second belt, and I don't have to fight Khamzat? That's where I think, I think that, again, Kamaru is not scared. These people are not scared of each other like that, but there's certain matchups, and you have to be a little bit strategic in your career as well. I think that Kamaru might be thinking that a little bit, like, you know what? Why even take the risk with this fight? What do I really... I mean, I do gain a little bit, but I gain more if I can win that second title. So, this was a big cluster of words I just said. I've been talking for like 17 minutes now. Overall, I thought that Izzy won the fight. I don't see anybody beating Izzy at middleweight for the time being. I think that Izzy moves up depending on the, who's the light heavyweight champion. And I think that Kamaru is just itching to move up. He is itching to move up, and he will take the opportunity as soon as it presents itself. So that is pretty much the video for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like the video again if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more content similar to this. I will catch you guys later. Peace.